Hi, I'm Nikki, the Obsessive Bookseller, and welcome to my channel. Recently, I had a chance to travel down the western United States coast, hitting as many used bookshops as I could. This excessive book buying is unusual, but for what it was so much fun. I had a ball. I brought home hundreds of dollars in fantasy hardbacks, and I'm going to be paying that off for a while. Definitely didn't come without a cost, but most of them are books that I've been wanting for my collection for a really long time. I'm going to be showing them to you in alphabetical by author's last name order. I want to intersperse it with clips of my bookshelves showing what my collection looked like before the haul and after, because it's really satisfying to see like a thin number of books in a series expanded to include the whole thing now. It's very satisfying for me anyway. So let me get into showing you what I've got. I'm super excited. The first one I picked up is Half a King by Joe Abercrombie. It matches the hardcover Half a War that I already had. I did see the missing title in this trilogy available, but didn't pick it up because it looked like I could get it for about the same price brand new, so I'd rather do that. Yay, starting off things strong with one of my favorites. Next, I picked up The Widow's House, book 4 in the Dagger and Coin series by Daniel Abraham. He's one of my all-time favorite writers. I got it to go along with the first 2 in the series, which I already have, so now I'm just missing book 3 and 5. I know I could probably have picked this one up new, but this copy was in incredibly good shape for about half the price, just with a little bit of sun weathering, so yeah, good find. Okay, this next one was kind of a gamble. Stone of the Stairs by Alison Baird. It's book 1 in the Dragon Throne series, and I knew I had a trade paperback at home, but I was pretty sure it wasn't the first book, so as it happens, now I have 2 of them. I'm missing the second one in trade, but I still have it in a little mass market. So this one that I bought will be replacing this mass market without a cover. Much better. But truth be told, I probably could have lived without this one in the whole scheme of things, but it was in one of the first shops that I went to, and I didn't realize just how deep my problems would get going forward. Okay, the next author haul is Bradley P. Beaulieu. And I picked up book 5 in the Shattered Sands series. And this one I am currently collecting strictly because I think the covers are really cool. I thought all the rest of them in the series. I didn't love the first one, but there were enough good things about it that I think I'm going to go back and reread it eventually, especially since I keep collecting the rest of the series. I also picked up books 2 and 3 following the Winds of Calacovo. I really like the cover of these. It's a series I've been intrigued about, and the main thing I loved about 12 Kings of Sharakai, the other series, is the world building. And the cover of the first book has a picture of a flying ship on it. So yeah, this is definitely one that I want to try at some point, and these were super bargain deals and super clean copies. So looking forward to those. My husband came home with a few books as well, and I'll be including his picks in this haul. And first and foremost, we have a couple of Ender's Saga by Orson Scott Card in these like really awesome, really beautiful hardcovers. And I have only read the first one, so this was like a no-brainer buy for both of us. He's really interested in the series because he's seen the movie, which, by the way, is one of my all-time favorite book adaptations, so if you liked the book but haven't seen it, it's really good. We still have a few more to pick up before completing the set, but this is a really good first start. Alright, let's talk about Jacqueline Carey for a minute. So you all saw me find this inscribed, beautiful edition of Kushiel's Dart. I've been looking online for this specific cover, and the only thing I've been able to find is a science fiction book club edition that they wanted like $65 for. Not what I was after. So I saw this and knew immediately I had to pick it up. And the awesome thing, it's made out to someone named Chris, which, you know, whatever. But it says, "Love as thou wilt, Jacqueline Carey," and that's like a major through line of the whole series, that phrase. I absolutely love it. It is gorgeous and will look great on my shelves. But here's the thing. 4 days later, at another bookshop, I came across another copy, another absolutely beautiful copy, not inscribed, only $10. Yeah, this one would have been completely sufficient. If I had had a choice between the two, I definitely would not have gotten the inscribed one. But it is kind of cool that I have something written from Jacqueline Carey. Although, also, so I already had a signature from her. So I will chalk this up as a whoopsie buy. There will be a couple of those in this, but yeah, a $10 beautiful hardcover would have been absolutely sufficient. I did not need the $75 one. But that's one of the pitfalls of used bookstore hunting across the coast. You can't go back and pick something up later. So I thought that that was the ultimate find, that I wouldn't be able to find anything else like it. But the silver lining is that if I ever have a chance to meet Jacqueline Carey, one of my favorites, I can have her inscribe this one out to me, along with book 3 in the series and Agents of Hell, the first book in her urban fantasy series. Jacqueline Carey before and after. And it looks like I still have a science fiction book club of Nama's Kiss to replace. Now, the thing I'm a little peeved at myself about is that Kushielskaya is one of my all-time favorite books. I absolutely love it. I paid an exorbitant amount of money for this copy online, and the spine is all wobbly and bent, and it's just not a very good copy. And I saw one as I was shopping that was better, but I was trying to be conservative at the time and didn't bring it home, and now I'm kicking myself. But it is what it is. I might get a better one of that later, considering how much I love it. But yeah, currently in the market for book 2 that comes in between these two, Kushiel's Chosen. Another husband find are a bunch of books by Arthur C. Clarke with the complete Rama series. Get my hand out of the way. Complete Rama series and a few of the continuation books to 2001, A Space Odyssey, which we still need to find the first one for. Now, these ones I'm interested in, but not quite as much as the Rama series, as many of you have been recommending to me as a classic science fiction I must read. And I am stoked that he picked these out, because next year I'm hoping to go on a sci-fi binge, and this will definitely be one of the first places I start based on all of your recommendations. I can't wait. Next are some books in the Furies of Calderon series by Jim Butcher. I loved this one when I read it. There's a fun backstory as to how the series even got started, but I don't even have paperback copies for these. And when I was in one of the shops, they had books 5 and 6. And interestingly enough, I donated book 6 years ago before I'd even read the series, because I figured, what's the point in hanging on to a 6th book in a series I may not even like? Yeah, I've done that a lot over the years. I've got the last 4 here. Now I'm in the market for books 1 and 2. Book 1 is astronomically expensive to find. One of the shops I hit along the way had pictures of their shelves posted online, and sitting there taunting me was book 1 in hardcover. So when we went to the shop, it had already been snagged, probably because it had been posted online. But in any case, I've got to go the online route to try to fill in the other 2 books in this series. Book 2 of which seems to be pretty readily available. It was my favorite in the series, so that one's currently the priority. But yeah, on the hunt for the first one. But I love that I have these represented on my shelves now, because they were a lot of fun. Highly recommend them. Next are a couple of books by Sarah Douglas. I have read the Wayfarer series. I have not read the Troy Game one yet. I actually have all of these in hardcover already from an online ordering experiment a couple of years ago. And while I was in the used bookshop, I vaguely remembered that this one came a little more damaged and dirty than I'd wanted, but I put it on my shelf anyway. So I picked this one up as a gamble that this copy would be in better shape, and it is, so I'm going to replace it. This one I picked up for two reasons. One, I love any covers done by Luis Royo. He's my all-time favorite artist, and I have the rest of this series in hardcover. There's 4 books, and they're all the covers that I like, and this was the only one I was missing. I had a foreign copy trade paperback that didn't match whatsoever, so super excited to add this one. You'll see in a minute the difference it makes to the set. This is the Sarah Douglas before and after. Much better. Like, this one is a nice copy, it's pretty cool, but it's not the Royo one and it doesn't match, so this makes me very happy. And the next set of books, Crossroads of Canopy. I am just interested in the world building aspect of this one. Truth be told, I have not seen any good reviews for it. I've not heard anybody talking about it. So if you've read this one and you liked it, let me know. But yeah, it was a pretty cheap copy and it was a new copy. So I felt okay picking it up as an experiment. And I picked up the 3rd book in the Iron Elves series by Chris Evans, simply because I have been hanging on to the first 2 in this series for years and might as well own the whole trilogy if I'm going to read it one day. If I read it and really loved it and never bought the 3rd one, I'd be kicking myself. So for a bargain, it's a gamble I'm willing to take. Next is Medalon by Jennifer Fallon. I love this trilogy. I want to reread it so I can continue. This is one of my favorite lesser heard of authors who I'll probably highlight in a future video on the same topic. And honestly, I thought I brought home more books by her because I ran across quite a few hardcovers, but I must have been being conservative, so this is the only one I ended up with. And it will be the only hardcover I have from her, and luckily it's the first book in my favorite series from her so far. So, woohoo! Next, I have books by David Farland, also known as Dave Wolverton. It's the same person. And I have been hounding for a copy of Runelords in hardback for years. If you're in the science fiction fantasy writing community at all, you have most likely heard of this author. He has a lot of writing seminars and he attends a lot of the LitCon and Writers of the Future, and he's incredibly smart when it comes to teaching people how to craft good stories. I consider him my personal writing mentor, and every time I see him, I ask him if he happens to have a hardcover copy of Runelords because I've been looking for it for so long. So I am stoked that I found one. I'm gonna have to hit him up to see if I can get it signed. But I also ran into some of his earlier works as Dave Wolverton, and Golden Queen is the first book in the series, and it was a signed edition on the shelves. And then the second one, Beyond the Gate, beautiful copy as well. And yeah, super stoked. If you saw my last book haul video, you're probably not surprised to see this author here, Raymond E. Feist. This is the author that got me into fantasy. I just recently acquired a whole bunch of hardcovers from my mom, books that I grew up reading. They were so nostalgic. And these are all the ones I was missing from that collection. Actually, this one was in there, but it was really beat up, and a science fiction book club edition. So just for the sake of collection, I bought this one to collect, and that other one will be for rereading. And I've got 2 hardcovers in the Serpent War saga, which previously I only had a couple of really beat up paperbacks that I acquired on my own. And then from the original series, here we have a Barnes & Noble compilation of Magician, which has the first 2 books in the series, and it is a really nice hardcover. I have never had a hardcover version of this, and I'm absolutely stoked. It even has the classic artwork on it, so much nostalgia. Silverthorn, which I've never come across, and I think the only one I'm missing now in hardcover from the original 10 books or so are Darkness at Sethanon and one of the Dark War sagas. But yeah, I love that I found this one. Pretty good copy too. Like The Merchant Prince, I picked up another copy of Prince of the Blood. that's nicely preserved and a solid copy. This one will be for collecting since it was my favorite of the series. And finally, King's Buccaneer, last book in the original Rift War sequence. And yeah, I'm so excited I found this one. This is my hardcover Feist collection before, thanks mostly to my sweet mom who gave them to me. And this is the after. Much more robust. I am especially excited for that copy of Magician on the end. And now I can finally get rid of these really old, gross, beat up copies that weren't even mine. Or my mom's. It's a long story. Okay, the mega finds. Steven Erikson, which I was specifically after, and I am stoked for this Memories of Ice copy. This will be cherished. I'm so excited I found this one. Now, in a small shop, I picked up Bone Hunters, and later on in the trek found a much nicer copy. That one had kind of the, well, let me show you. This one had kind of a peeling paper on the front. And so I figured because it was something that I was absolutely on the hunt for, I would go ahead and pick up the cleaner copy and just donate the other one. That was a whoopsie, but one that I feel a little more justifiable because of just how high of a priority it was. And there is my beautiful Steven Erikson collection. I still need book 1. I still need Told the Hounds with the cool covers. And then books 9 and 10, they don't have the same cover artist, so I'm indifferent to those. Now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that House of Chains is a gorgeous hardcover, but it doesn't match Book Problems 101. I almost picked up duplicates of a couple of these, but luckily a few years ago I did an extensive cataloging project and was able to figure out from how I had shelved things on Goodreads that I already owned them, so woohoo! So happy for this. Okay, stick with me, we're at about the halfway point. Next, I picked up a copy of Grey Bastards in hardcover. I have this one already in a trade paperback, but I like it enough to have picked up a hardcover for 3 for $20. So, and it's a brand new copy too, like totally pristine. Next, this is another husband find by Michael Gear, Outpost. I've been seeing this one flash across my eyes on Goodreads quite a bit, and it looks sufficiently creepy and lots of good world building. I'll probably end up reading this one eventually as well. And look, yay! Good Kind hardcovers. I'm really excited for these. I have only my favorites on the shelves. These were inexpensive enough that I felt okay adding them to the collection because I think they will look rad on the shelves. And as a bonus, Blood of the Fold is an autographed copy. These are my Good Kind hardcovers before and after. I am quickly noticing that these must be the originals, and the two that I had picked up are probably reprints, which that's okay. At least they're all the same height. There's a little bit of OCD issues going on with those, but I'll get over it. I really love that I have almost the complete set. I need the first one still, especially considering I named my kid Kaylin after a character in this story. So there were a couple of books that I picked up that I didn't even realize were available in hardcover. They're series that I've absolutely loved, covers that I love, and one of which was the Symphony of Ages series by Elizabeth Hayden. I absolutely love this author. And I found book 1 in hardcover. This is like, I am so stoked about this find. I've picked up a lot of cool stuff, but this has to be one of my favorites. And then I also have other books in the series, and I love the stories for these, but on top of that, these are also works done by Louis Royaux, and these covers just make me ever so happy. And I cannot believe I found such nice copies to add to my collection. Now, this one's a science fiction book club edition. I did find a bigger hardcover, but it was so filthy that I figured this will work for now. But because I know I can get these, I am definitely going to be on the hunt for the missing ones in my collection, and I'll probably replace this one day. It was one of those things where I was worried I wouldn't be able to replace it, so I'd better snag what was available then. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, so stoked for these. This is my Elizabeth Hayden collection before and after. These make me so happy. I need to find Prophecy and Destiny to complete the hardcover set. I did not find any signed Robin Hobbs, but I found several beautiful hardcovers for Robin Hobb. This is my very favorite fantasy writer out of everybody that I've read, and I didn't even realize you could get these anymore. So I picked up a couple of the Rainwilds books. Yeah, the Ship of Magic series, which again, the end one is a science fiction book club edition that I'll probably be looking to replace eventually, but for now I have the whole set. A beautiful copy of the first book in the original trilogy. This is my favorite cover out of all of them, and yeah, super stoked. And then what I consider the holy grail in Robin Hobb for me, and that is Fool's Fate. I love this book so much. This is the book that got me into blogging. I finished it and loved it so much I wanted to talk about it, so I started a book blog. And all of this that I'm doing now is just an evolution from that one turning point. And I found this one in a box on the floor, almost missed it, wasn't even with the science fiction stuff. And it's an awesome hardcover. It's got a little bit of dinging on it, but I don't care. I am so happy that I found this. And then I have the second book in that same trilogy to go with it. I now need the first one. Okay, let's talk about Robin Hobb for a minute. This is my collection before the recent haul, and as you can see, I picked up some of those UK gorgeous editions just to kind of streamline the collection a little bit. And then I have a random hodgepodge here, a couple of science fiction book club editions, and then 2 trade paperbacks of the first 2 that I found on the last time I went used bookstore shopping. Not to this extent, obviously. And so now we are adding... Oh my gosh, this makes me so happy. From an OCD standpoint, I really love how streamlined the little trade paperbacks are, but this is so much more visually appeasing. And it looks like I still have a few copies to fill in the gaps, a few of the Rainwilds, a better copy of Fool's Errand and Ship of Magic, and the miracle find would be those first 2 Assassin books in hardcover. But for now, my Robin Hobb shelf is definitely representing how much I love her more than before. That's a win. Next are some Brian Jacks books. I have been a fan of the Redwall series since I was a little kid, and have been picking up any hardcover that I can find just for the sake of collecting them. And lo and behold, I found a copy of Redwall in hardcover. It's the very first book that started it all, and it's a little more beat up than I prefer, but I couldn't not buy it. When a hardcover of the first book in a series shows up, like, you snag it. And I also found Salamandastron, Legends of Luke, and then what has turned out to be a second copy of Tagger Run. I had a picture of my collection going into the store, and there was one title that the light was reflecting on and I couldn't see which one it was. And I figured it might be this one, but just for the sake of, like, what if it wasn't and I'm passed up on buying it, I picked it up anyway. So this is another whoopsie. I already have this one. But yeah, can't wait to add these. These are my Brian Jacks hardcovers before. I believe Rackety Tam on the end is a signed copy. And this is after. I'm definitely going to donate one of those Tagger Run copies that I duplicated. Whoops. But I'm especially excited that I found Redwall and Salamandastron since they are earlier in the series. Usually those are harder to find. Hey, I consider these kind of a whoopsie buy because I really didn't need them. There was only one shop we went to that had all new titles, but they were like publishers' remainders, so they were really cheap. And they were 4 for $10 for paperbacks, and I thought these covers were so pretty. And I realized now that there's like 16 books in the series. I only have the first one on my shelves, and these are like much later in the series. I don't even know if I'm going to like them. The first one is called Touched by an Alien. So yeah, not my usual type of reading, but like these later books look a little more badass, like, you know, so I'm hoping they're not too heavily romance focused. But we'll give it a go. But yeah, if I read the first one and absolutely hate it, I'm going to be really annoyed that I picked these up. They are pretty. Let me know if you've read them. I haven't seen any feedback on them whatsoever online. Okay, this next set of purchases, I'll admit right now, was a complete indulgence. I have not read these series, but one of the bookshops had most of them staring me in the face, and they were gorgeous hardcovers, and I thought, just for the sake of collecting, I'd pick them up, and if nothing else, I'd be really happy if I ended up liking the series that I had them all. So, Mercedes Lackey and James Mallory. And when I got home, I don't have any hardcovers with these two as a duo already, except for this one randomly. So this was a whoopsie buy. I already had this one. I have no idea where I picked it up. I didn't even remember having it. The first book in all of this starts with The Outstretched Shadow. I picked this up a couple of years ago and ended up putting it down because the pacing was too slow for what I was in the mood for at the time. But I didn't put it down because I wasn't liking it, it just wasn't what I was in the mood for. So now that I have all of these hardcovers, I'm really hoping that I like it next time I pick it up. Otherwise, that's a lot of self-indulgent buying that's going to go to waste. Next round of onesie twosies, I picked up Endurance and Kalimpara by Jay Lake. I love the covers on these. The first one is called Green. It's really pretty. My mom has read those and she really liked them. And I thought, you know, I am not above buying books just because I like the covers, as evidenced by a few of these purchases. But I figured if I like them, then I'll be really excited that I picked them up. If I end up hating the first book, then not a lot lost because they didn't cost me that much. Next is All the Wares of Pern. It's a beautiful, clean copy of one of Anne McCaffrey's books. And I will admit, I bought it because this art, this specific picture here, is what I associate with McCaffrey's works. And I just think it's absolutely beautiful. One of the shops that I was in had a first edition hardcover of Dragon Riders of Pern, and it was a beautiful, beautiful copy. They wanted $300 for it. I like Anne McCaffrey. I really enjoyed the first trilogy, but that was way too much, and I'm at peace with the fact that I did not buy that, considering that there was also the second one there that was signed by her that they wanted $450 for. Basically, if I'd bought those two, it would have been my entire budget for the rest of these titles. So, yeah. But it was fun to see it, and I know where it is in case I, like, win the lotto or something. For now, this one's just for collection's sake, and I think it is so cool. Next, I picked up The Soprano Sorceress by Ellie Modisette. It is the first book in the Spell Song War, a pretty decent copy. And I've read this one before. I really enjoyed the first book. I think I lost steam near the end of the series. I'm not sure if I finished the last book, but this first one was really good. It's very classic, like, mellow fantasy. Not a lot of, like, new ideas or anything, but that's okay, because sometimes that's just what you need. I've met this author before. His wife used to or still teaches singing at the college I graduated from. So if nothing else, I might be able to get it signed one day, and then it would just be a cool thing to have. Not my favorite series, but this one is more, I picked this one up more from a collector's standpoint. Oh, yes, and I forgot about this one. I picked up the first Imager novel in a hardcover, and this one is already signed. And of all of his works, this is the series I'm most interested in reading and continuing. I have not started it yet. I also have book 10 in hardcover, which I'm not sure where I acquired, but yeah, I've got the bookends. I am really excited that I found these. It is the Cycle of Oak, Yew, Ash, and Rowan series by Andre Norton and Sasha Miller. It's like Andre Norton's writing is okay. I find it a little dry, but I did really like this series, and to boot, they are also cover art done by Luis Royo. Absolutely love the covers on these, and I managed to find the whole series at different shops. I didn't get them all from one place. This is one of my all-time favorite covers. And even the most recent book, yeah, absolutely love these. So while the series wasn't my favorite, the books themselves are going to be cherished. Another great find is the Temeraire series by Naomi Novik. Temeraire is one of my all-time favorite dragons. Such a fun series. The first 3 books are a little more robust than the rest of the series, and then it just became like comfort reads from there. But I found a lot of these hardcovers. This one was another whoopsie purchase because, yeah, I picked it up like thinking I may not be able to find it again, so I would just take the Science Fiction Book Club edition, but then ended up finding the robust hardcover, so this one will be donated, and I can add these, and I think I have most of the series here. I may be only missing 1 or 2 books, but this is the compilation of the first 3 books that I already had, so yay! Representing dragons. Alright, we are almost done. I am already dreading, like, editing this video. I picked up Skybull by Melanie Ron. I love this cover. This one was the one I always tried to draw in high school. Never came out well, but it's a really nice hardcover. It's book 6 in the series, of a series that I read but remember absolutely nothing about. It was kind of a boring, dry series. Interesting concept, and I love the dragons, but yeah, so this one I picked up solely for the cover, and for whatever stupid reason, I picked up book 5, which this one is my least favorite cover of the whole thing, but I don't know. Another pitfall of used book shopping. We were in such a hurry to get from one shop to the next on some of the days because of store closing times. So I really didn't have a chance during those last couple of shops to really sit down and think through what I'm purchasing and kind of edit myself a little bit. So I ended up with this one, even though there's no reason for me to want it or have it. I already have the paperback. I don't even like the cover. I don't plan on buying the whole series in hardcover. I just wanted this one because I love the cover. So yeah, I'll hang on to it, but it'll annoy me every time I see it. Another little paperback that I'll probably regret buying, but I read the first book in the Esther Diamond series. It's a cute little urban fantasy, and I liked it. It was a fun little mystery. The titles crack me up if you have a chance to look them up. This one's called Abracadaver, and I'll probably read it one day, but did I really need to own it in a physical copy? Probably not. I'm gonna need some shelf help for this next one. Behold, my Salvatore haul. Now, I went in looking for a very specific line of hardcovers that they did like 15 years ago, which I did not find any of those, but I did manage to come home with quite a few that I hadn't owned before. First being the entire War of the Spider Queen, and the fact that I have all of these in my hand is remarkable because I picked them up kind of scattered. It was a gamble that I would be able to find them all, but I found like 1 or 2 in each shop, and they're pretty decent copies too. I have not read this spin-off yet, but I know I like a lot of the authors associated with them because they were co-written, and if I end up loving them, I'm going to be, again, thrilled that I picked them up. And then I love that I found these when I was just getting into the series when I was a teen. These were just coming out. I remember my friend, the friend who actually turned me on to the series, reading these physical copies, and I thought they were gorgeous. So simply for nostalgia's sake, I picked them up. I have all of these books already in a giant 4-book compilation, but I love that I can include this as well. This is where taking a picture of my collection with me into the stores really helped me out, because I found these like beautiful copies of the Hunter's Blade trilogy. And I already had a really good copy of the first one, but looking at the pictures, I realized that I had the science fiction book club editions of the final two in the trilogy, and there's a theme here. I don't prefer these, so I picked these one up to replace these ones. It really annoys me when they're different heights on the shelf. It's an OCD thing. Next, I picked up the final two sellswords in that trilogy, which it's just now occurring to me that I'm missing the first one, which I believe is the first one in the Path of Darkness set also that I just showed, so I need to find that one. But yes, anyway, looking at my shelves, I realized that I only had a science fiction book club copy of this one, and this one, like a really cheap advanced copy that was already ripped when I got a hold of it. Now granted, when I found this, so excited to read an early copy of it, but yeah, I think I can do a little bit better, and have. Okay, we have The Legend of Drizzt before. Give me 10 minutes to rearrange all this. And The Legend of Drizzt after, including the War of the Spider Queen saga. This is so much more satisfying than how I had it. I forgot to mention in the video, I also picked up an Arc of Relentless for $5. I figured it'll give me a chance to read it before I invest in the nice hardcover. But yeah, this is beautiful. Another one of my favorite finds is a hardcover copy of 1,000 Names by Django Wexler. It's a really nice copy. And I also found book 3. And on one of the book ordering sites, I've had books 4 and 5 set aside for me for a while, but I'm like, well, if I can't find the first 3, then what's the point in owning the last 2? But now I have them, so I'm going to order them soon, and then I'll only have to find book 3. I have not read this series yet. I have read his newest trilogy starter, and I've read the first book in a young adult series that he just came out with, and I know I like his writing, so this did not seem like that big of a risk. And I've heard a lot of good things from other people on Goodreads, so yay. I probably shouldn't have picked this one up. It's a book club edition of The Green Angel Tower by Tad Williams. I don't even know if I'm going to like the Dragonbone chair. It's been on my TBR for quite a while, and I have paperback copies of it. Yeah, I panicked. I bought this one. And then oddly enough, I was in a shop 2 days later that had the first 2 in this exact same format, and I didn't buy them. But they did want more for them than any other store up to that point. They were overcharging by quite a bit. So yeah, but now I have this useless one little copy of a book that I'm not even sure I'm going to like. And it's a book club edition on top of that, so even if I do like it, I'll probably replace it. I'm considering this another whoopsie, even though it's a cool copy. Next, I picked up a few of the later Dragonlance books by Margaret Wise and Tracy Hickman. Saw these on a shelf and thought, oh my god, I gotta bring those home. And these two are in pretty good condition. This one, the spine and the side is kind of gross. So later on in the trek, I found another copy that was in a bit better shape and picked that one up instead. So yeah, another whoopsie buy, but I'd rather have the cleaner copy. And then throughout the trek, I saw a whole bunch of the Deathgate cycles, but like books 6 and 7. There's 7 books in the series. And I thought, I want to buy those, but I need to be conservative. And if I can't find the earlier titles, what's the point? So I found book 4 and figured, okay, at least I know that book 7 is really readily available because I saw so many of them. And I can kind of slowly work on building this one up. Plus, this one was a really nice copy. I love this series. I don't hear about it often enough. I am, as I mentioned, going to do a video on lesser known or lesser mentioned series that I really loved, and I think this is going to be on it. One more to go. My last pickup was The Curse of the Mistwraith by Janny Wurst. Absolutely loved her writing with Raymond E. Feist for the Daughter of the Empire series. And this is book 1. I hear that she actually did the artwork herself for a lot of her covers. This is her artwork as well. What a talented lady. And she's really active on the Goodreads group, Fantasy Buddy Reads, that I help moderate, and just a super gracious, super kind author. So I figured, yay, you know, I get to support her, I get to have a really cool hardcover, and it is one that I intend to read one day. It was only $7. Sold. So that's it. That's my massive haul. Awesome thank you to the people who made it all the way to the end of the video. I'm super grateful that I have this platform to be able to geek out about books like this. And like I said, this haul is unusual for me. I don't plan on taking any more used bookstore treks, and from here I'll probably figure out what the holes are in my collection and just start buying them online here or there, like maybe 2 or 3 titles a month. And really, I should pay off all of these before I start buying new ones anyway. So yeah, probably don't expect another book haul video until Christmas, because that's when people give me books. So I want to know, are you excited about any of the titles that I picked up here? There were at least 10 of them that I was just beside myself to find. Thank you so much for going on this journey with me, and I really appreciate all of your comments and support. And I hope to catch you next time. Bye.